The statement I'm going to make is largely based on personal feelings, not necessarily rational thinking. I, you know, originally from the Middle East, lived in Canada for a while and then lived in the United States, and now I'm living somewhere else. So I always enjoyed and seen the benefits and advantages of openness and inclusiveness. And every time I see something, a statement or a move or a vote that's motivated or sort of moving in the direction of isolation and sort of segregation or anything of this sort, I just view it with a sort of reservation. So in that sense, and again, it's purely based on feelings that what happened is long term may not be the best for the UK. So that's it.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Actually, as most of you mentioned, each of us, we have our own points of view, particularly that we are not British and we are not citizens here, and we are outsiders. And as an outsider, you don't always have your own point of view actuated from wherever you come from. Now, whether the choice to leave EU, whether it was right or wrong, actually it is very difficult for an outsider to say anything about it. And for me, I really want to say that the actual result is yet to be seen in the future. And whether British is going back again or not, that's also something. That's why I said that you have to wait and see what will happen if it remains outside EU. But then to mention something, because I thought the question before was what effect that will have on global sustainability. I thought that's the issue. And for me, this is what concerns me, being somewhere away, miles, thousands of miles away from EU countries and from Britain itself. I thought UK had, as a member of EU before, it had legal obligations towards, say, developing countries, and economic commitments and financial commitments, and helping a lot of ODI, all these kind of things. They used to help and spend quite a lot of money to these developing countries. And I thought it was done that in its capacity as a member of EU. Now that it's left, if it leaves EU for good, I think it needs to renegotiate and try to re-evaluate its commitments to these third world countries or to developing countries. For that point of view, I thought if they were committed to do any development activities, they will have a problem with that, because if I were, they say, UK in a government, I would think inwardly. I will try to solve my own financial problems. I will try to think that what am I going to do now? I will definitely lose some benefits from Europe, being a member of the European Union. Now I'm on my own. I have to think for myself. Now, thinking for myself means that I'm thinking inwardly. Can I actually balance to think inwardly and still keep my hands out to extend my arm in order to help the developing countries? So this is where actually I think there could be an effect, an enormous effect, if it leaves, an enormous effect, at least for the first years, on the developing countries, particularly in areas of sustainability. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Now, in my opinion, I think it's a decision that came which they were not expecting. So they were a bit poorly prepared for this. Now, since the decision has come, they have to be now for them to think carefully and play their cards well. If they play their cards well, I think they'll survive. Look at the countries like Australia, New Zealand, Canada. They're not in the Union, but yet they are doing well. So I would say it is time for them to sit back, think of their policies, develop their policies in such a way so that they can now do business with the rest of the world. I would say that it is time for them to ease off, and sometimes they'll have to put their foot down, which means they have to give and take. There will be policies they have to be a bit more strict on. At the same time, there will be policies they have to give a leeway to accommodate themselves with the rest of the country. They have to negotiate on the business terms, import and exports, with different countries so they are able to do business with the world. Now, if we talk about the health issues and technology issues, in my opinion, health is usually a global problem. Nobody wants any disease or epidemic to spread because every country wants their patients or the people to get the best outcome. So in that case, I think if there's an outbreak, there won't be a big issue of whether they are in the union or not. I think whole world will stand behind it and try to contain it wherever it is. So this is my opinion, and I think they will survive as they develop their policy well and play their cards well.
Thank you. As I think many things already discussed, so my opinion, having many years living in the UK, as academician, I think I call this thing actually 48-52 rules. So what happened, if you look at the balance between 42 and 48, that means the balance is there already. It's not too bad, it's not too good as well. If you look at the division at the moment, it's a countries that we say divided, agree and disagree with very minimum level of differentiation, only to 4% or whatever. Now in that case, what happens if something goes wrong, it will not be goes too much wrong in that way, because it is only 4% people are actually less than 52, so it will not go back too much negative influence. If it is also looking for the too much positive, also is not too much positive because it's only 4% again to the positive side. Therefore, this rule actually 48 or 52 will be sustained in longer term, as all of our colleagues already discussed, that there are a lot of factors involved before and after this referendum. The people may confuse, people may not understood clearly what is happening and what will be happen. And one of our previous, obviously, the Peter, John, what actually he explained, like if you look at the structure of the voting, there is a class of a division. That some cities giving vote, some townside or countryside giving less vote, some educated people want to stay, some educated want to leave. There is a many division, many factors, then why people are not clearly understood what is happening or what should happen before and after. Still, if you look at the scenario or dilemma, I think is not conclude or is not, still people are thinking their own opinion. This opinion, how much will be applied, it obviously depends on the consequences of the European Union and UK understanding. And I do believe that this all will be actually short term. For short term, it will be probably a little bit negative influence, but in the long term, I think it will get huge impact and UK will be survived in the longer run. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before I sum up, I will put my viewpoints. I'm not very articulate because I'm thinking and reflecting, so excuse me. In 2012, I presented a paper in International Congress in Sweden, in Gothenburg, about inclusive cities. It was arranged by the International Federation of Housing and Planning. And at that time, my presentation focused on the role of inequalities, social economic inequalities, and I presented it as one of the reasons behind the great protests in Greece and in other parts of Europe at that time. I believe as a planner that the votes against the EU or the remaining of the UK in the EU were coming from people or from parties who were probably either manipulated politically or have their own political views, or either they were affected directly by the austerity or the non-inclusiveness. I know that there is great economic progress in the UK, but I could see already from last year, although I have been here for 3 years, that gaps were increasing, in fact. Even London, according to a new study by The Guardian, assessing London in terms of resilience, London is losing feet. London is having great problem with equalities, although very progressing on the economic level. But there are lots of problems in relation to housing, in relation to dealing with education, mental health. So I believe that there is the regional also issues in the UK. Many believe that focus is placed more on the south. And this might cause some kind of dissatisfaction in one way. So I might join John in thinking that it is a kind of protest, or even this protest not believing that it will end by the UK leaving the EU. So this is one of my interpretations of why it has happened. There was focus on the negative rule of people coming here to get benefit, disregarding the benefit of migrations and migrants in many areas. So this is one of the issue. About the impacts, I believe that the UK can make, of course, because the UK has lots of potentials and progress in many areas, and a leading world country, can of course have relationship with other countries, but I will think that there will be contradictions, because if the UK wants, for example, to make deep relations or deep trade relations with the Middle East or with Africa, and at the last end the UK doesn't want to give visas to people because they want to filter who is coming and who is not coming, I think the UK will come again in a contradiction, putting back the question of whether we would like to have migrants here or not. So this is what my thoughts are. I am for a UK remaining in the EU, in fact.